What's up, everyone? This is Yeeflex, and congratulations on making it to the 5th and final behind the scenes video for the Diversity EP for the song Midnight Cruise. So the disclaimer at the beginning of this video, like the last four, sorry if my audio fluctuates. I've been having the issue with the audio for a little bit now, so just bear with me as I make the video. But the three things I want to at least talk about in this video is the history and story behind Midnight Cruise, some in-depth behind the scenes of some of the sounds that I used and Maison sent me. Sorry for not a full complete project, but I'll talk about that later. And I'll just talk about just some fun facts about the Diversity EP, since this is the last song and this is kind of the closer for the EP. So let's just dive right into the song. So Midnight Cruise was our fifth and last song after finishing Seaside. So we started Sunrise, the first song of the EP, in June 2017, and I'd say Midnight Cruise we started in around February or March of 2018. And the time that we started Sunrise, Maison was into making down tempo, but at this time he was starting to get into making synthwave. So I think he just made a song right around the time Midnight Cruise was started called Night Lights, and I didn't even know he was into synthwave. So I said, hey, do you want to try making a synthwave song? Because I personally like synthwave and new disco, but I didn't know he liked it, and he made a song that sounded exactly like synthwave. So I just kind of said to him, would you be willing to try that for our last song of the EP? I mean, we've already made 4 different genre songs. You might as well make a 5th one that's different, right? And so he said, yeah, why not? So basically that's how Midnight Cruise was made. The name is kind of a play on the whole EP and his synthwave song in general. So a lot of synthwave songs always have something like neon lights, something cruise, lights, cruise, and neon usually in the song if you're going to make some type of synthy wave song. So his previous song was Night Lights, and I think I saw another synthwave song called like Neon City or something like that. So basically I wanted to make a song like that, but in a little bit of a different name that wasn't used as much. And I just happened to think about Midnight Cruise because I liked his name of Night Lights, but I didn't want to use the exact same name. So I just said, hey, Midnight Cruise. Like when I thought of it, like, why don't we call it that? It sounds like something you'd listen to like in the 80s or, you know, at midnight just cruising along the highway. And it's kind of funny because I forgot the first song was called Sunrise. So by the time we named the song and started working on it, I realized, looking at all the songs and we were arranging it to send to the owner of Argo Fox to release the songs, I realized like it starts with Sunrise and ends with Midnight Cruise. And it was just like, oh, like an opener and a closer. Like I did not even realize that. It was the strangest thing. I don't know how I didn't realize that, but I was just looking for like the most synthwavy-ish name possible that wasn't overused. So Midnight Cruise is what it became. And basically it the overall Diversity EP opens with sunrise and closes at midnight. You elevate through, traverse through, you go to a seaside, and then you take a midnight cruise. So it was just a luck and sheer coincidence that just happened to be that way. So it was almost like the song was meant to be, so to speak. But yeah, Maison and I at the time were into synthwave. He was starting to make it more. I was just a fan of listening to it. So we decided to make this song, and we just tried to make it as retro as possible, but making it as modern retro as possible, almost like new synthwave, new and stuff like that. So basically going into the song now, like Maison sent me drums, the effects, and vintage saws. So I'll play that for you guys because the drums are very 80s. So let's start it over here. Honestly, those types of drums you'd hear in a Televisor song. If you're a Monster Cat fan like I am, then you would know, like, you hear some of those like that filler that sounds like something from a Televisor song. So that was really cool to me. I didn't even know he can make percussion like that or had percussion like that. Then he had the sound effects, which was just basic kind of risers and stuff, but even that sounded 80s. I mean, it's like the riser and the white noise. That even sounds like an 80s kind of like riser white noise sound. Like you would hear that in like the introduction of like an 80s song or a synthwave song. And then the vintage saws is really where it got me. So this is like the beginning sound of the song Midnight Cruise. As it pans up. So he basically sent me that as the first 3 stems, and I worked off that. It's not the same. I think the bass pluck that he added, or the bass arp that he added to the beginning of the song, he added later on in the production and making of the song, but that was the initial kind of like lead sound you hear in the very beginning. So this is the uplifter, and then this is the part I made. So we'll start it from here. So you guys might recognize these 2 parts. Actually, this is the lead or build up to this part in a sense, but also I think he used this part in the first drop. So this song is sectioned actually very differently than the final version of Midnight Cruise. So basically I have my fully loaded drums going here. You know, this typical set of percussion, because he already had a kick going, so I just kind of used his kick. Actually, I used my own kick. Sorry, I was in the wrong section. So I think I just used let's see, kick 100. Yeah, that's the kick I always use. I just used that and then kind of made my own kind of drum kit for it. I think he ended up changing to the more retro drums, which makes sense. It fits more in the line of the song, so that's why I didn't really remember the drums too much. The lead, again, as you saw, is the massive, is a different preset, or KST in massive, that's what presets are called. And this one is a soft bass, and this is a random song I made on my own. So back when I was like still in college, like in the early days of college, I was working a part-time job at home, and it was a really kind of chill job. One day I remember I had to work a night shift, and I brought my old laptop down there with Massive and made a bunch of sounds, and this was one of the sounds I actually made while I was working. I'm not even sure if I was allowed to do that, but my boss said do something to entertain you, so I did something to entertain me, and when people needed help, I still helped them. So basically, I was making sounds that night, and I was just making random sounds for fun because you know, I was getting paid for it while working. So that was kind of a awesome thing. But that night I was just making random sounds. I didn't even think any of them would work, and actually a lot of those sounds I do use, like this HM stands for homemade soft bass number 2. This was just like the second soft bass, random bass I just made on my own, just tweaking different knobs or oscillators and then adding different envelope things and pitching them up and down and just trying random things. And basically that is what became the guitar for Massive, with another guitar rig of Deli Fat ST1. So I wish I could show this one in the presets, but this is definitely a preset in guitar rig. You might have to look for it, but I didn't want to use the 1993 hot solo rig because I already used it in Seaside. I wanted a guitar, but it also didn't fit the vibe of the like retro guitar per se. Like this one sounds more like a retro guitar. It doesn't really sound as like rockish. It sounds more like something you'd hear like in synthwave. So yeah, basically I think this is a lead I wrote, and I just kind of left his what do you call that, MIDI file name on there. But I think I wrote all this stuff because it was just like the chords and stuff. So that's the lead. This is the main lead that you hear in the second drop, and that guitar that you hear in the second drop is actually 2 guitars. Maison made his own guitar sound, and I had my own guitar sound, and he combined both of them together and pitch bended them both at different points, which is why mine doesn't change pitch at the end of each measure in that terms, because I know he did that as kind of a last minute post effect on his master file. And then what you guys don't know is I created the plucks that you guys hear in terms of like the chord progression for Midnight Cruise in the final version. A lot of these sounds I don't think made it, but the overall idea was there. And for this, I use this old plugin that I've been using for a very long time. It's called the SXM June. And it's just this 32-bit plugin that I've been using for years. I mean, it's a very simple plugin, but I mean, it has like a bass, it has like various different sounds. Like I've used the string, the chorus, the brass. I've used like most of the sounds in this SXM June for our project. I've used the ARP for Valaxima, and I used the pad sound I think in Equinox, but in this song I used like the different basses, the pulse synth, and the Vibrolux. Sorry, I couldn't read that too well even on my screen. So I was using all 3 of these sounds in one big kind of group, and this is kind of how they sounded together. And this was the chord progression, all on I think 8th notes. So that was cool. So I mean, you could just hear there that it's like a very synthwave vibe, as you can see here. So I didn't do a super heavy cut. Normally I cut at 300, but for this song I just left it at 230 because it sounded good, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be used by Maison. So then here is the pulse synth, has a little more high end, but the one that actually sounds very synthwavy is the bass A, which I kind of just left the whole EQ because it just sounded pretty good. I mean, that just sounds good. I might have to use this in another song, but basically I just wrote out the chord progression like that, and that also contributes to the break of the song, because after this happens, this is kind of like how the break was created for Midnight Cruise. After the break, yeah, so that was the working idea. There's some things that are out of tune or out of key, which is a little bit strange, but yeah, that was the general idea, having the plucks fade in with a filter. So as you can see, it starts down here and then kind of fades in over time. Meizong added a lot more stuff. I think he incorporated some of the things in the first drop, as I said earlier, and then moved the guitar section into the second drop. So this guitar lead here is playing in the second or third drop. I can't remember, Midnight Cruise has 2 or 3 drops. There actually might be 3. So yeah, that was the basic idea of just having it filter in, and then he added some percussion, and then he had it build up into there, and then he eventually had it go into the second drop. So if I were to just, copy and paste this section and duplicate it, that's basically what the second drop is that he made. So that is basically it. He basically just added the melody into here, so his guitar and my guitar were playing at the same time, and then he made an outro for the song. We made most of the song kind of like Seaside via Messenger, so I don't really remember most of the progress for the song, but this is pretty much how we made it from not being in the same area. So overall, I hope you guys learned some stuff about the song. The coolest thing about this song is this is the first song I had promoted on Cypher Music, and this was also the first song that got promoted by a gaming, I guess, not really company, but channel or group. TSM used this for their Apex Legends video. That was quite wild. That's why this is the second most but oddly enough, sorry, I got that a little bit confused. This actually, even though TSM used this song in their video on ArgoFox, this song I think only has like 30,000 views, which kind of blew my mind because I thought it'd have a lot more. Because I thought synthwave would be the market for some of the ArgoFox fans and other people just around to use for copyright-free music. But oddly enough, this is the second least viewed song, and Traverse being the most with 50,000, and I think Sunrise and Elevate are like 40, 45, 47,000. So the first 3 songs were actually the most successful on the Diversity EP in terms of views. Now I can't say the same on Spotify or SoundCloud, but at least on YouTube that I look at on ArgoFox, it's just surprising that Traverse was the most successful one, because that was the song I mixed and mastered and put the most time into. So overall, this EP was a definite success. I call this EP my almost like holy grail EP, because it's just literally the epitome of greatness. 5 different genres on an EP. You really don't see that too often. And this EP was actually, in my mind, inspired by the AU5 and Fractal EP. I think it was Secret Weapon, that was called. It was a really old EP on Monster Cat. and they made like a house song, an electro song, a drum step song, and a dubstep song, and that EP to this day is like really blown me away. I listen to that actually not as often as I did before, but every once in a while, like I go back to that for reference material, and that's basically what was my reference for the Diversity EP. I wish we picked a better name than the Diversity EP, but at the time I really couldn't think of any names, so we needed to think of a name pretty quickly for the EP, and that was the only thing I could think of because all 5 songs were different, so Diversity. So I wish we picked a better name, but overall this EP is probably like the crown jewel of Yeeflex, and I had the most fun making this EP at the time when I was closing out college. So this is kind of like an homage to like the ending of my schooling career, because after that, like, I was pretty much done with school, and you know, it was kind of like an end of an era, almost like. So it was, every time I listen to this EP, it's kind of just reminding me of the days I was back in college, hanging out with friends, and that last year of college where I was working on projects, hanging out with friends, and working on this EP, and just enjoying life at that time. So this EP definitely is a great reminder and a great staple in the Yeeflex history, and just in my personal history and timeline. So overall, the most successful EP I think I've ever made, and safe to say that Maison and I will try and make another collab song again. We tried a couple projects, they didn't work out, but we'll see from there what another project brings. I know we're always down to at least try a project, so we'll see where that goes from there. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the whole behind the scenes video for the whole Diversity EP. There will be more behind the scenes videos in the future. I will definitely do one for Lost Without You. I need to find the file for Stories if I can find that. So I'll try and do those 2 collabs next, because they're the 2 bigger songs of mine. And then after that, I'll go into more of my individual songs that I never went into before. So overall, this is the Diversity EP. I hope I gave you guys enough background and story into the EP. I know I wrote it out before, but it just doesn't do it justice when you have to write. Otherwise, it'd be like a 4-page essay on why why the Diversity EP was made. So hopefully you guys have a better sense of why this EP was made, and hopefully you learned something, because like this project and Seaside, there wasn't too much to the project. Like the project wasn't fully complete on my end. Maison had the master file, so I couldn't really do anything but just show you guys what I made on my end. So hopefully you pick something up and learn something from how I produce and stuff like that. So hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed the behind the scenes series. If you guys really do like the behind the scenes videos, please leave comments on my channel. I see likes, but I respond more to comments. Like if there are more people that comment on the behind the scenes videos, then I'll be more inclined to make them, because in the past I was a little deterred to not make them because they weren't getting too many views. Now I'm just kind of doing it for the heck of it, but still the comments do help out, and having some feedback is always nice. So hope you guys liked this video. Sorry for the long outro, and look forward to the next behind the scenes video. Alright everyone, peace.